Hey, it's your girl, Copper Color Creations, coming with another update, family. How is everyone doing out there? I hope everyone is in code, most high over everything, and spreading all the love possible, family. Okay, I want to give all the glory to my framer and shaper. All praise to the Most High. Allah family. Shout out to all the tribe out there. Okay? Researching and reading and seeking and showing thyself approved. All right? All right, now. We here, y'all. This is Rainbow Warrior, Rainbow Covenant, Rainbow Serpent, Part 8. Yes, family, we are at part 8. And once again, I'm excited. Family, the Most High, what have I been doing? I have been on lockdown, family. I went in lockdown. I didn't come out till after Shabbat on Saturday. And I have been doing some serious research. Um, so, yes, we are here. This is Monday, Fun Day, family. I, I I have a lot going on. I have the dogs running rampant. I have the contractors running in and out of the house. I have so much going on, but I said I'm going to lock myself in my office and I'm going to do this video because this has to come out. My journey, family, is amazing. And for those that have been following, part 1, 2, 3, go check them out. You are going to be lost if you do not check those out first. Um, Once again, I am on an investigation, family. Um, this is what I'm being revealed is it's getting more and more amazing. The signs, um, family, is just amazing. That's all I can say. Um, you know, Once again, I want to let everyone know a lot of our history is fake. Okay. So we have to digest that. All right. We know religion. We got to get past these pillars, family. Yes, a lot of these stories in that so called Bible are fake. A lot of your history is fake. A lot of the maps are fake. And a lot of the people and you know a lot of people are fake. Everything is fake. So when we say dodge the hijack, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, family? Now, we are on the Anasazis. The last video we left off, the Hopi and the Zunis are the Anasazis, and we're digging on the Anasazis here in Arizona. And I'm just doing a research on who I am. And that's what we're doing here on this page. We clearly, family, when I tell you guys, the rabbit hole never ends. So if you think you know it all and you think you have the truth, trust me, you have no idea. Nobody has the truth. Nobody knows anything. From the downloads that I've been getting, I can sit here and say with confidence that we still don't know who we truly are. When we thought we were who we are much more than that. Let me just say this. Okay, family? All right. So, um, let's go over, before I get into this article, Riddles of the Anasazi, I want to go in my pictures, family. Let's take a look at some of the pictures that you guys saw. And I want to go over the orbs. Um, so Mama Copper, captured crystal orb. So these orbs, family, are changing colors to crystals. We're getting different orbs now. And you know they come in different colors. They can shapeshift into anything. I've been showing orbs since part one. Um, so, you know, here's a real orb. Let me try to zoom into this. This is a rainbow orb, family. And, you know, Mama Copper have seen plenty of those. Um, let's see here. There is another one, another picture I want to go over. Let's see here. And here's another one. We got all different types of color orbs in this one. Look at this, family. Different color orbs. So, you know, this started with orbs and, you know, the blue kachina, you know, this originated with us just digging on what's going on. Okay? So, I also want to show you guys an orb. Now, this orb was caught by a sky watcher, one of my followers, family. And he's a Gentile and he was amazed. I'm going to zoom in. And if y'all could see, there is a face in this orb, a nose. It looked like my grandmother's nose, family. I know. Isn't this crazy? No, it's not, family. It's our star family. Family. Okay? Now, I'm telling y'all, the Most High is showing us some things. This is real. This is not photoshopped. This is just like the vision. I don't know if anyone has seen the video of the lady, of her imprint in the tree. Look at this. Who can do that? Amazing, family. I just had to share this. This is amazing. All right, now. Amazing. And we got the orbs, just like the one at Mama Copper. Except Mama Copper's was rainbow. This is the same exact. It looks like an angel, family. This is the most beautiful image. It reminds me of the same one in the back of Mama Copper. I found an academy of crystalline rainbow orbs. This is a lady who has the same Kachina blue aurora orb dwelling with her, and then she has the crystal orb right here. So I found that to compare that to Mama Copper's orb. This is Mama Copper's orb on her phone that she took up in the sky. And when she originally took it, she thought it really, it was amazing experience. So family, these are signs of the Creator telling you who you truly are. All right, now let's also, I've been promising y'all. No, let me go back because this is not the one. I've been promising, let me pause it, family. I've been promising the tribe that me and my son Kadir, what we, 6 months ago, we were in Inner Earth watching angels and dragons. And so I have been, moving and grooving around. I have my archives and I have everything saved up and I couldn't find it. But when this video popped up, I put this on one of the videos. I said, I'm going to show the tribe the formation of angels. So let's look at this video, family. And there you go. I'm going to play this video for y'all. And I want y'all to see this. Okay? Now, I visioned this 6 months ago. Shout out to a sister who shared it on her page. But I always kept it in my archives. And it seems like everything that I've been doing is I'm just putting pieces to my puzzle together and connecting all my dots. All right. And then hopefully that can help the tribe. All right, family, let's go. All right. Now, here is the Inner Earth video. On the next one, I'm going to show you guys the dragons in Inner Earth. But for this particular video, I wanted to show you guys angels in formation. So if you can't see on the next video, I'm going to zoom in so those for those that can't see can see, that have the eyes to see. All right, so let's zoom in, and we're going to start right here. And I'm going to try to take the mouse. I'm going to zoom in as, oh, I can zoom in, family. Okay. So it starts right here. Let's count them. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Y'all see them? 8. See their bodies and their wings? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Their information. 14, 15, 16, 17. I can't see this one right here. And then it goes 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Family, they are all lined up information. So when you guys hear of angels surrounding Earth, protecting us, family, it's right here. I'm showing you these are angels in Inner Earth in formation. Okay? And I'm going to dig on Inner Earth and talk about that. I've been wanting to talk about what I've seen and how we are connected to the ley lines, and how the angels travel through the ley lines, family. It's amazing for those that understand. The dragons and angels are working overtime, family. That's all I can say. All right? I've been wanting to show y'all this, and I finally found to show y'all our peoples are working. Look at this. Look at this. Every time I look at this, I just get chills, because that video that I just showed you kind of confirms what Inner Earth is showing us, family. All right, now. All right. Let's see. Is there any other pictures before I get started? All right. Did you guys see the orb? The aqua orb that looks just like the blue kachina? Did you guys see that? I'm calling it the aurora orb now, because the more I dig on it, it's taking me all the way back to the aurora seeds from Lemuria, family. Yes, I know. Deep, because it seems like we're all on the same brain. The Most High is putting us on the right path. So yes, this research is amazing, and it's leading to we'll see, family. So yes, that's the orb I wanted to show you. I think that is it for the pictures, family. Yes, I think that's it, family. So let's go to the article we have. And the name of this article is Riddles of Anasazi. What awful event forced the Anasazi to flee their homeland, never to return? And this was by David Roberts, July 2003, from the Smithsonian. Ooh, I like to read anything from the Smithsonian, because not only did they lie, steal, and you know, try to hide the truth from us, but now they're coming out telling the truth. So let's see what they have to say. I think these images are different images of let's go back to the first one. This one is, it says around 1250 AD, 1250, seeking refuge from some unknown threat, the Anasazi migrated from open villages to the nearly inaccessible dwellings. A generation later, they moved again, and this is where they dwelt. The next one is in 1874, an early traveler photographer, William Henry Jackson, captured an image of an Anasazi cliff dwelling. And there he is right there, family. All right, now. An unknown terror forced the Anasazi to occupy vertiginous cliff dwellings in the 1200s. They migrated south and east from today's Four Corners region. Four Corners. And there we go with that Four Corners, family. I'm still digging on that. And I'm waiting for others to help me out with this Four Corners. Is it four corners of the earth or is it the four corners? Do y'all get what I'm saying? I'm going to keep bringing that up. All right. And this is the, wow, look at this. Can you imagine? And who afraid of heights? All right. Let's see. The Anasazi often covered rock walls near their settlements with paintings and carvings of sheeps, snakes, lizard men, and other animals and symbols. The outlines to the left were made by blowing a paint paste from the mouth, excuse me, against a hand held flat on the rock. And here's the image, family. Look at that. Wow. Okay. Apparently terrified of invaders, some Anasazi of the late 1200s wedged their houses and granaries into nearly unreachable overchanges in the cliffs, such as this one in southwest Utah. Each foray for food, water, and supplies must have been perilous. Wow, family, look at this. Could you imagine living like this? What were they running from? Apparently terrified from invaders. Okay, now. Searching for Anasazi sites in Utah, guide Von Hadenveld, pointing, and Arthur David Roberts found a rare petroglyph of a ladder used to enter an underground chamber called Kiva via the roof. The image was created at least 800 years ago. Wow, family. All right, let's go. Let's dig into this article. The four of us walked slowly down the deep, narrow canyon in southern Utah. It was midwinter, and the stream that ran alongside us was frozen over, forming graceful terraces of milky ice. Still, the place had a cozy appeal. Had we wanted to pitch camp, we could have selected a grassy bank beside the creek, with clear water running under the skin of ice, dead cottonwood branches for a fire, and beneath the 800-foot high rock walls, shelter from the wind. More than 7 centuries ago, however, the last inhabitants of the canyon had made quite a different decision about where to live. As we rounded a bend along the trail, Greg Child, an expert climber from Castle Valley, Utah, stopped and looked upward. There, he said, pointing toward a nearly invisible wrinkle of ledge just below the canyon rim. See the dwellings? Without binoculars, we could just make the facades of a row of mud and stone structures. Up we scrambled toward them, grasping and sweating, careful not to dislodge boulders the size of small cars that teetered on insecure perches. At last, 600 feet above the canyon floor, we arrived at the ledge. The airy settlement that we explored had been built by the Anasazi, a civilization that arose as early as 1500 BC. Excuse me, family. Their descendants are today's Pueblos, Indians, such as the Hopi and the Zuni, who live in 20 communities along Rio Grande in New Mexico and in northern Arizona. During the 10th and 11th centuries, Chaco Canyon in western North New Mexico was the cultural center of the Anasazi homeland and area roughly corresponding to the Four Corners region, where Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico meet. This 30,000 square mile landscape of sandstone canyons, buttes, and mesas was populated by as many as 30,000 people. The Anasazi. Family, 1 second here. Bear with me, family. Okay, sorry about that, family. All right, 30,000 people. The Anasazi built magnificent villages such as Chaco Canyons, Pueblo Bonito, a 10th century complex that was as many as 5 stories tall and contained about 800 rooms. The people laid a 400-mile network of roads, some of them 30 feet wide, across deserts and canyons. And into their architecture, they built sophisticated astronomical observations. For most of the long span of time, the Anasazi occupied the region now known as the Four Corners. They lived in the open or in easily accessible sites within canyons. But about 1250, many of the people began constructing settlements high in cliffs, settlements that offered defense and protection. Okay? Wall of protection, family. These villages, well preserved by dry climate and by stone overhangs, led the Anglo explorers who found them in the 1880s to name the absent builders the Cliff Dwellers. Toward the end of the 13th century, family, if we can put these um, times together, this, I mean, this looked like Prester John time to me, but I've been doing a lot of digging, and the more I read, the more I research all this, it's all coming together. All right? It's all coming together. All right? Let's go. Okay. All right. So, toward the end of the 13th century, because when I see 13th century, uh, I just, I think of that. Uh, Prester John. It just rings a bell, family. All right. Towards the end of the 13th century, some cataclysmic event forced the Anasazi to flee those cliff houses and their homeland and to move south and east toward the Rio Grande and in Little Colorado River. Just what happened has been the greatest puzzle, I bet you, facing archaeologists who study ancient culture. Today's Pueblo Indians have oral histories about their people's migration, but the details of these stories remain closely guarded secrets. Within the past decade, however, archaeologists have wrung from pristine ruins new understanding about why the Anasazi left and the picture that emerges in dark. It includes violence and warfare, even cannibalism, among the Anasazi themselves. After AD 1200, something very unpleasant happens, says University of Colorado archaeologist Stephen Lexon. The wheels come off, he states. This past January and February, Greg Child, Renee Globus, Von Hedenveld, and an explored series of canyons in southwest Utah and northern Arizona, seeking the most inaccessible Anasazi ruins we could find. I have roamed the Southwest Pass for the past 15 years and have written a book about the Anasazi. Like Greg, who has climbed Everest, Mount Everest, and K2. Renee is an expert climber. She lives in Moab, Utah, and has ascended many desert spires and cliffs. She lives in Moab, Utah. Oh, I said that already. Sorry. Vaughn is a tour guide from Bluff, Utah. Has worked on a number of contract excavations and rock art surveys in southeastern Utah. We were intrigued by the question of why the villages were built high in the cliffs, but we were equally fascinated by how the Anasazi scaled the cliffs, let alone live there. During our outings, we encountered ruins that weren't sure we could reach even with ropes and modern climbing gear, the use of which is prohibited at such sites. Researchers believe the Anasazi clambered up felled tree trunks that were notched by stones axes to form minuscule footholds. Those log ladders were often propped on ledges hundreds of feet off the ground. Some of the ladders are still in place, but they would not have been adequate to reach several of the dwellings we explored. I believe that archaeologists, who are usually not rock climbers, have underestimated the skill and courage it took to live among the cliffs, family. And this is what he stated. The buildings that Greg had spotted were easier to get than most of the sites we explored, but it wasn't so easy to navigate the settlement itself. As we walked the ledge of the ruin, the first structure we came to was a 5 foot tall stone wall, four small loopholes, 3-inch wide openings in the wall would have allowed centuries to observe anyone who approached. Behind this entry wall stood a sturdy building, its roof still intact, that adjoined a granary littered with 700-year-old perfectly preserved corn cobs. Farther along the narrow ledge, we turned a sharp corner only to be blocked by a second ruined wall. We climbed over it and continued. Twice we were forced to scuttle on our hands and knees as the cliff above swelled toward us, pinching down on the ledge like the jaws of a nutcracker. Our feet gripped the edge of the passage. One careless lurch meant certain death. Finally, the path widened, and we came upon four splendidly masoned dwellings and another copious granary. Beneath us, the cliff swooped 150 feet down, dead vertical, to a slope that dropped another 400 feet to the canyon floor. The settlement, once home to perhaps two families, seemed to exude paranoia, as if its builders lived in constant fear of attack. It was hard to imagine elders and small children going back and forth along such a dangerous passage. Yet the ancients must have done just that. For the Anasazi who lived above that void, each foray for food and water must have been a perilous mission. Can you imagine that, family? What they went through? Wow. And these archaeologists and rock climbers are basically stating the living conditions. Number one, they were living in a state of fear all the time. Number two, they always had to leave their living conditions. Number three, they were obviously running from something, family. And this archaeologist just stated that their living wasn't a come and go as they please. They went out to get their food and water and whatever they needed, and they came back home. I mean, it's deep just to read about it. Um, yeah, They went through it. All right. Despite the fear that apparently overshadowed their existence, these last canyon inhabitants had taken the time to make their home beautiful. The outer walls of the dwellings were plastered with a smooth coat of mud, and the upper facades painted creamy white. Faint lines and hatching patterns were incised into the plaster, creating two-tone designs. The stone overhang had sheltered these structures so well that they looked as though they had been abandoned only within the past decade, not 700 years ago. Vertiginous, vertiginous, vertiginous cliff dwellings were not the Anasazi's only response to whatever threatened them during the 1200s. In fact, they were probably not all that common in the culture. This became apparent a few days later when Vaughn and I, leaving our two companions, visited Sand Canyon, Pueblo in southwest Colorado. More than 50 miles east of our Utah prowlings, partially excavated between 1984 and 1993 by the not for profit Crow Canyon Archaeological Center. The Pueblo compromised 420 rooms, 9,200 kivas, underground chambers, 14 towers, and several other buildings, all enclosed by a stone wall. Curiously, this sprawling settlement, whose well thought out architecture suggests the builders worked from a master plan, was created and abandoned in a lifetime between 1240 and about 1285. San Canyon Pueblo looks nothing like Utah's widely inaccessible cliff dwellings, but there was a defense strategy built into the architecture, nevertheless, in the late 13th century, says archaeologist William Lipe of Washington State University. There were 50 to 75 large villages like Sand Canyon in Mesa Verde, Colorado region. Canyon rim sites enclosing a spring and fortified with high walls. Overall, the best defense plan against enemies was to aggregate in bigger groups. In southern Utah, where the soil was shallow and food hard to come by, the population density was low. So joining a big group wasn't an option. They built cliff dwellings instead. What drove the Anasazi to retreat to the cliffs and fortified villages, and later, what precipitated the exodus. For a long time, experts focused on environmental explanations. Using data from tree rings, researchers know that a terrible drought seized the Southwest from 1276 to 1299. It is possible that in certain areas there was virtually no rain at all during those 23 years. In addition, the Anasazi people may have nearly deforested the region, chopping down trees for roof beams and firewood. But environmental problems don't explain everything. Throughout the centuries, the Anasazi weathered comparable crises, a longer and more severe drought. For example, from 1130 to 1180, without heading for the cliffs or abandoning their lands. Another theory put forward by early explorers speculated that nomadic raiders may have driven the Anasazi out of their homeland. But, says Leip, there's simply no evidence of nomadic tribes in this area in the 13th century. Yeah, I bet you there's plenty, family. Dodge the hijack. This is one of the most thoroughly investigated regions in the world. I bet you it is. There were enough nomads. Excuse me, family. One second, family. Sorry about that, fam. There were enough nomads to drive out tens of thousands of people. Surely the invaders would have left plenty of archaeological evidence. So researchers have begun to look for the answer within the Anasazi themselves. According to Leekson, two critical factors that arose after 1150. The documented unpredictability of the climate, what he calls socialization for fear, combined to produce long-lasting violence that tore apart the Anasazi culture. More and more war, family. In the 11th and early 12th centuries, there is a little archaeological evidence of true warfare, Leekson says, but there were executions, as he puts it. There seem to have been goon squads. Huh? Okay. Things were not going well for the leaders, and the governing structure wanted to perpetuate itself by making an example of social outcasts. The leaders executed and even cannibalized them. This practice was perpetrated by the Chaco Canyon rulers, created a society wide paranoia, including to the Leekson's theory, thus socializing the Anasazi people to live in constant fear. Leekson goes on to describe a grim scenario that he believes emerged during the next few hundred years. Entire villages go after one another, he says. Alliance against alliance. And it persists well into the Spanish period, as of late as 1700s. For instance, several Hopi villages attacked the Hopi pueblo of Awatavi, setting fire to the community, killing all the adult males, capturing and possibly slaying women and children, and cannibalizing the victims. Vivid and grisly accounts of this massacre were recently gathered by the elders from the elders by Northern Arizona University professor and Hopi expert Eckhart Malokti. Malokti. Until recently, because of a popular and ingrained perception that sedentary ancient cultures were peaceful, archaeologists have been reluctant to acknowledge that the Anasazi have been violent. As University of Illinois anthropologist Lawrence Keeley argues in his 1996 book, War Before Civilization, experts have ignored evidence of warfare in pre-literate or pre-contact societies. Okay? During the last half of the 13th century, when war apparently came to the Southwest, even the defense strategy aggregation that was used at Sand Canyon seems to have failed. After excavating only 12% of the site, the Crow Canyon Center teams found the remains of 8 individuals who met violent deaths, 6 with their skulls bashed in, and others who might have been battle victims. Their skeletons left sprawling. There was no evidence of formal burial that was the Anasazi norm. Bodies arranged in a fetal position and placed in the ground with pottery, fetishes, and other grave goods. Now, when we talk bodies on bodies, family, this is what we talking about when we talking bodies on bodies. Okay, now? I mean, this is ridiculous, family. And I'm saying, I believe Drop was talking about this. I have to go back and dig on the video about them having our ancestors' bodies and that um, we could claim uh, proper burial for them. And um, so I'm digging on that, and it's called the it's called the repatriation um, form, and I am already going forward with it. I have contacted the museums. I am not playing. According to the Repatriation Act, any tribe that's indigenous or any Hawaiian, it states on the piece of paper. I got all the paperwork, and yes, can claim the bodies and the pottery, and yes. So I've been busy doing a lot of, when I say research, this is what I'm doing. So family, if you are in the area in Arizona, dig on this repatriation form that you got to fill out. And this week I am going to the museum. I'm not far from the original museum, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go in there and see what they have, family. They got bodies on bodies, family. And I believe our ancestors deserve a proper burial. That's just what I believe. No matter what tribe you're from, north, west, south, we are all one family. And I believe everybody that has the ability to make it happen should do their research, dig on it, and follow suit with it. Okay? All right, let's go. An even more grisly picture emerges at Castle Rock, a butt of sandstone that erupts 70 feet out of bedrock in McElmo Canyon, some 5 miles southwest of Sand Canyon. I went there with Vaughn to meet Christine Kuckelman, an archaeologist with Crow Canyon Center, who co-led a dig at the base of the butte. Family, I just want to say this. If I know what I knew now, I would have went to school for all this archaeologist to be an archaeologist because I'm very curious. I like digging, researching, and I'm about to start excavating myself. Let's go. Okay, so it says, here the Anasazi crafted blocks of rooms and even built structures on the Butte summit. Crow Canyon Center archaeologists excavated the settlement between 1990 and 1994. They detected 37 rooms, 16 kivas, and 9 towers, a complex that housed perhaps 75 to 150 people. Treeing data, tree ring data from roof beams indicate that the Pueblo was built and occupied from 1256 to 1274, an even shorter period than San Canyon Pueblo existed. When we first started digging here, Kuckelman told me we didn't expect to find evidence of violence. We did find human remains that were not formally buried, and bones from individuals were mixed together. But it wasn't until 2 or 3 years into our excavations that we realized something really bad happened here, he said. Kuckelman and her colleagues also learned of an ancient legend about Castle Rock. In 1874, John Moss, a guide who has spent time among the Hopi, led a party that included photographer William Henry Jackson through McElmo Canyon. Moss related a story told to him, he said, by a Hopi elder. A journalist who accompanied the party published the tale with Jackson's photographs in the New York Tribune. About 1,000 years ago, the elder the elder reportedly said the Pueblo was visited by savage strangers from the north. The villagers treated their interlopers kindly because we got love and compassion in our hearts. But soon the newcomers began to forage upon them and at last to massacre them and devastate their farms, said the article. In desperation, the Anasazi built houses high upon cliffs where they could store food and hide away till the raiders left. Yet this strategy failed. A month-long battle culminated in carnage until the hollows of the rocks were filled to the brim with the mingled blood of conquerors and conquered, of the conqueror conquerors and conquered. The survivors fled south, never to return. By 1993, Kuckelman's crew had concluded that they were excavating the site of a major massacre. Though they dug only 5% of Pueblo, they identified the remains of at least 41 individuals, all of whom probably died violently, family. Evidently, Kuckelman told me the massacre ended the occupation of Castle Rock. More recently, the excavators of Castle Rock recognized that some of the dead had been cannibalized. They also found evidence of scalping, decapitation, and face removing, a practice that may have turned the victim's head into a deboned portable trophy. Pause, family. I'm going to just say this. For those that are digging and that understand what I just read, where does that sound familiar? Face removing, deboning as a trophy, cannibalism. Don't that sound like the same people? I'm going to talk about these people on part 9, family. But this sound like the same people, same monsters that have been doing this for centuries. Face removing. When I read face removing, the first thing that comes to mind is HRC. And if those that know who HRC is, and I forgot the name of it all, but on part 9, I'm gonna come back to this. I'm gonna come back to this paragraph on this article, and we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about it, family, because what happened then is happening right now, and I'm gonna prove it to y'all. Okay? I have the name of what they're calling this, and they're doing this to our people right now. Anyways, family, deboned to a portable trophy. Okay? So they was eating our ancestors and deboning their heads, and it's just very sick, family. Very sick. Let's go. Suspicions of the Anasazi family. I said I was going to belly flop through this, and I am, because this is pretty long, but let's go. Let's read through it, because I'm going to post the article for those. Y'all can go ahead and dig. I'm belly flopping through this. Suspicions of the Anasazi cannibalism were first raised in the late 19th century, but it wasn't until 1970s that a handful of physical anthropologists, including Christy Turner of Arizona State University — shout out to Arizona State University, I'm on y'all next — all gas, no brakes, family — really pushed the argument. Turner's 1999 book, Man Corn, documents evidence of 76 cases of prehistoric cannibalism. All right, they talking about cannibalism. They saying that, the Anasazi was eating each other, but we know who was eating who and what needed to be ate up. So y'all go ahead and dig in that. I have no, I have no, I don't want to read it. It's, it's a hijack. So for those, read it, meditate on it. I'm going to belly flop through it. How about that? All right. So they said it was cannibalism. We know they were slaughtering our ancestors and eating them. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and read. Predictably, Turner's claims aroused controversy. Many of today's Pueblo Indians were deeply offended by the allegations, as were a number of Anglo archaeologists and anthropologists. So basically, they're trying to say our peoples was cannibals, but we know who was digging up bodies and eating and scalping and using skulls for trophy. We know who that was. So let's just dig on it. How they try to whatever turn everything is just sickening. But let's go. Many of today's Pebbles Indians were deeply offended. Yes, we are. As were a number of Anglo archaeologists and anthropologists who saw the assertions as exaggerated and part of a pattern of condescension toward Native Americans. There you go. Bam. I got it. Hold on, family. Did I just not say dodge the hijack because they're going to be lying on our peoples? And we got a anthropologist, an Anglo anthropologist, stating that they have exaggerated and put in condescending just to keep us all confused. Dodge the hijack. We know who was eating people and scalping skulls and digging up our ancestors and eating them. We are very clear on who was doing that. Okay? Let's go. Even in the face of Turner's evidence, some experts clung to the notion that the extreme processing of remains could have instead resulted from, say, the past mortem destruction of the bodies of social outcasts, such as witches and deviants. They telling on themselves. Kurt Dongasky, an Anglo archaeologist who works for the Hopi, told me in 1994, as far as I'm concerned, you can't prove cannibalism until you actually find human remains in human corporate fossilized excrements. So, a few years later, University of Colorado biochemist Richard Marler, boy, they be coming out the woodworks, don't they? And his team did just that. And at an Anasazi site in southwestern Colorado called Cowboy Wash, excavators found 3 pit houses, semi-subterranean dwellings whose floors were littered with disarticulated skeletons of 7 victims. The bones seemed to bear most of Christy Turner's hallmarks of cannibalism. The team also found corpulent in one of the pit houses. I bet you they did. All right, let's belly flop. All right, let's see here. Let's see here. The excavators also noted evidence of violence that went beyond what was needed to kill. Y'all hear that? So if y'all ever want to know, just dig on your ancestors and see what they went through. Because phew, it stated the excavators also noted evidence of violence that went beyond what was needed, family, to kill. For an example, they state one child, for instance, was smashed in the mouth so hard with a club or a stone that the teeth were broken off, as Mylar speculated to ABC News. Defecation next to dead bodies 8 to 16 hours after the act of cannibalism may have been the final discretion of the site or the degrading of the people who live there. Family, this article just confirms that they were slaughtering babies, smashed in the mouth, and cannibalism happened 8 to 16 hours after. I mean, y'all, we connecting these dots. So so it says a child was mutilated, family. I just want y'all to meditate on that because I don't think the $5 or any other race on so-called race on earth has been through the mutilation and slaughter that our people has been through. This article is confirming it. I'm going to post it once again, dig on it, family, because this is, even to read, it really turned my stomach. I mean, to know that they were just mutilating and eating our people. Wow. Let's go. When the Castle Rock scholars submitted some of their artifacts to Marler in 2001, his analysis detected myoglobin on the inside surfaces of two cooking vessels and one serving vessel, as well as on four hammerstones and two stone axes. So he confirming they ate and cooked our people. Okay, I'm belly flopping. Let's go. We almost done, family. We almost done here. All right. So, um, I am just it's a lot, family. It's a lot. All right. Getting this article, they're basically telling you, about the mutilation. Um, let's talk about the Kachina cult. They're describing the Kachina cult with the Kachina Dow. Remember, I told you how the ancestors start worshiping the Kachina deities. There's like 400 of them. Okay, so there's a Kachina cult that they're talking about, family. Um, get in it, dig in it. Um, you know, a lot of lies, dodge the hijack. Um, I'm going to jump back in this article. Uh, I'm really just reading it. It just really is sick when you read how they did our ancestors. Okay, uh, they were worshiping deities, idols, just like right now. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay, nothing new. As I belly flop at the end to end this article, I'm gonna start it right here. Family, dig on your ancestors. Please find out who you are, where you come from. I literally, me and my family, we are on one. Um, we are on one. Okay. For those that don't know, you can dig on who you are. They have the at home. You want to know what your blood type is? You got the order the at home blood type. Find out your blood type. Dig on who your peoples are, because this is very, very important whether anyone realizes it or not. Finding out who you are and where you come from is important. If you can't find out who you are and where you come from, then meditate on it and connect to source, and the Most High will lead you. And trust, He is leading me straight to where I'm supposed to be going. Okay? Will it be easy? No. This journey is not for the weak. And I'm going to repeat, it's not for the weak, family. But hey, if you want answers, you shall, hey, Ask and you shall receive around here. Okay? All right, now let's go. Let's start here. One structure in the ruin was the most astonishing Anasazi creation I have ever seen, and is exquisitely crafted wooden platform built into a huge flaring fissure, hung in place more than 30 feet above us, impeccably preserved through the centuries. It was narrow in the rear and wide in the front, perfectly fitting the contours of the fissure. To construct it, the builders had pounded cup holes in the side walls and wedged the axe hewn ends of massive cross beams into them for support. These were overlaid with more beams, topped by a lattice work of sticks, and finally covered completely with mud. What was the platform used for? No one who has seen it has offered me a convincing explanation. As I stared up at this woodwork masterpiece, I toyed with the fancy that the Anasazi had built it just because. Art for art's sake. The Seji Canyon seems to have been the last place where the Anasazi hung on as the 13th century drew to a close. The site with the wooden abandoned platform has been dated by Jeffrey Dean of Arizona Tree Ring Laboratory to 1273 to 1285. Dean dated nearby Betakin, uh, Betakin, Betatakin and Keats Seal, two of the largest cliff dwellings ever built in 1286. The oldest sites discovered so far within the abandoned region. It would seem that all the strategies for survival failed after 1250. Just before 1300, the last of the Anasazi migrated south and east, joining their distant kin. War is a dismissal study, Leekson concludes in a landmark 2002 paper. War in Southwest, War in the World, contemplating the carnage that had destroyed Castle Rock, the fear that seemed built into the cliff dwellings in Utah, and the elaborate alliances developed in the Kayenta Valley. I would have to agree. Yet, my wanderings this past winter in search of 13th century ruins had amounted to a sustained idle. However pragmatic the ancients' motives, terror had somehow given birth to beauty. The Anasazi produced great works of art. Villages such as Mesa Verdes, Cliff Palace, hallucinatory petroglyph panels, some of the most beautiful pottery in the world. At the same time that its people were capable of cruelty and violence, protecting ourselves, family. Warfare and cannibalism may have been responses to the stresses that peaked in the 13th century. But the Anasazi survived. They survived not only whatever crisis struck soon after 1250, but also the assaults of Spanish conquest in the 16th century and Anglo American invasion that began in the 19th. From Taz Pueblo in New Mexico to the Hopi villages in Arizona, the Pueblo people today still dance their traditional dances and still pray to their own gods. Their children speak the languages of their ancestors. The ancient culture thrives. Okay? And this article was written by David Roberts. David Roberts is a veteran mountain climber and the author of 27 books, including The Mountain of My Fear and Deborah. His latest book, The Lost World of the Old Ones, which chronicles archaeological discoveries in ancient Southwest, is due out this spring. Family, go cop that Lost World of Old Ones. Okay, now. All right, so, you know, this article was long. I belly flopped through it, family, but y'all can go read it. I'm going to put it in the information, and I'm going to conclude um, part 8, you know, with just knowing that uh, the Pueblo, the Hopi, the Anasazi, the Puebloans um, were very highly spiritual people, family. Okay, they were attacked so much because of this. They were very highly celestial people. They were tapped in. And one thing I can say is this: they had to fight some giants as well. And I'm going to talk about that on part 9. We're going to talk about these big redhead giants my ancestors had to fight. And we talking about the same redhead giants that our military uh, took down. And that's real. So it's all coming together, and the Most High has got me digging and digging and just researching and putting these pieces of puzzles together and connecting these dots for my tribe family. All right, now, if I forgot anything in this video, one thing I want to say, and I always want to remind y'all once again, this is exposed season. Everyone that is not on the right frequency, not keeping the code, and you are not leading the tribe on the right path, you are going to be plucked out, exposed. Family, in this season, it is very, very critical that you keep the code and don't put no power above your power. Honor your heavenly parents. Abba and Amma, okay? That is number one key in this season. And of course, keep the code. Exodus 20, all right? Because if not, you will be exposed. And I've been saying this, but it seems like most don't get it. But just sit back and get your popcorn and you will see what I mean, family. All right? All right, now I'll see you guys on the next video. Part 9, we're going to discuss these fallen and these giants my ancestors had to fight. When I say not only did they have to fight the invaders, the Anglo-Saxon invaders, they had other deities that they had to fight. All right, family. So with that being said, keep the code, Most High over everything. All praise to the Most High. Allahu One family.